My name is Hannah, I'm 35 years old, and until recently, I thought I had a stable family life with my husband, Greg, also 35, and our bright 10-year-old son, Ryan. Ryan has always been unusually intelligent for his age, often reading articles on the computer and asking my opinion on topics that even some adults find difficult. Greg, on the other hand, had never been stable in his work life. For years, he drifted between jobs, leaving me to shoulder the financial responsibilities. It was only in the past 3 years that he managed to hold down a steady income. Recently, Greg began talking about making memories as a family. The idea of owning a camper van excited us both, and we decided to buy one for $35,000. But when the finance company refused Greg's loan application, I ended up taking the loan in my name. On the long-awaited delivery day, while I was at work, I received an unexpected email from Greg. "Since the loan is in your name, I'll take the van. You can handle the repayments." Confused and alarmed, I called him immediately. His voice was calm, too calm. "Sorry about that," he said. "I've fallen for someone else. It started as a fling, but now I want to start a new life with her." He mentioned the divorce papers we had argued about during a past fight, told me he'd file them, and hung up. That was the last time I heard his voice. When I came home, the divorce papers were gone from the drawer. Greg had vanished with his mistress, taking the camper van with him and leaving me with the debt. Despite my repeated calls and emails, he never responded. Ryan soon noticed my distress. "Mom, you haven't been eating much. Are you okay?" "I'm just tired." "When people lie, they look up to the right," he said. "And lying is bad. Dad hasn't been home for 3 days. Did something happen?" His insight cut deep. Realizing I could no longer hide the truth, I told him everything. "I see, that's just like Dad," he replied, surprisingly calm. But I knew his heart must be hurting. I silently apologized to him in my mind, determined to stay strong. Still, the stress began to take a toll on my body. One day at work, I suddenly couldn't stand and collapsed. When I regained consciousness, I was in a hospital bed. The doctor explained I needed further examinations, and I was admitted. Looking at the 4 drip in my arm, I felt small and defeated. Tears slipped down my cheeks until Ryan burst into the room, his eyes wide with fear. "Mom, is it serious? You're not going to die, right?" "Of course not. I'd never leave my dear son alone." But my condition was worse than I imagined. I was diagnosed with a serious illness and told I needed surgery immediately. I agreed. The operation was successful, but by the time I was discharged, a month had passed. Greg was still gone, and I was left to face my new reality, alone, but alive for the sake of my son. When I returned home and opened the mailbox, a demand letter from the bank fell into my hands. Payment was overdue on the camper van loan. For a moment, I froze. The repayment should have been automatically deducted from my account. Heart pounding, I grabbed my cash card and checked my balance. $33.90. It had been $20,000 just weeks ago. I didn't need to think twice. Greg did this. He must have withdrawn everything. I wanted to demand the money back, but there was one problem: I couldn't reach him. And without the camper van, I couldn't even sell it to cover the debt. Ever since Greg left, everything seemed to spiral in the worst possible direction. Seeing my despair, Ryan touched my forehead gently. "You look pale. Are you sick again?" "No fever, though. I'm fine physically." "But, your father didn't just take the car. He took all our savings. And right now, I can't work because of my health. We have nothing, Ryan. I don't know what to do." Ryan's expression tightened, but his voice was steady. "Then I'll deliver newspapers. And I'll search online for jobs I can do." Hearing that from my 10-year-old son broke me in a different way, but also lit a fire inside me. "Sorry for worrying you," I said, forcing a smile. I can't afford to be weak. We'll figure this out together. Ryan smiled back. Then, unexpectedly, he leaned forward. Let's plan how to get the car back from Dad. How? It's in my name, yes, but I don't even know where he is. Ryan's eyes glimmered. We can track him. Remember the kid's cell phone we bought when I got lost on that hiking trip? We installed a GPS app on it. And it's on Dad's phone, too. I can see where he is, he's been moving around a lot. I blinked in shock. What if we find him and he just runs off again? Ryan's lips curved into a confident grin. Don't worry. I've already taken precautions. He explained what he had done, how, while I was in the hospital, he'd quietly gathered information, even learning about Greg's mistress. I couldn't believe this sharp, strategic mind belonged to my child. All right, I said. Let's teach your father a lesson. Anywhere, anytime, Ryan replied. 3 days later, my phone rang. It's me. I need your help, Greg's voice came through, tense. Who is this? I asked coolly. Stop it, it's your husband. I'm being questioned by the police about you. They might take me to the station. Help me. Minutes later, Ryan and I arrived at a nearby forest park. There, Greg stood by his car, flustered, with 2 police officers beside him. I asked the officers for a moment alone. Greg, embarrassed by the growing crowd, urged us into his vehicle. Inside, a woman sat cross-legged, glaring at us as Greg's mistress. Thanks for coming, Greg began. But why would you call the police? Because the camper van was stolen, I replied. He scoffed. You can't steal from your own spouse. You filed for divorce, remember? That makes us strangers. Driving someone else's car without permission is a crime. Greg faltered. Ryan, sharp as ever, added. Exactly. And you didn't just take the car, you drained our savings. Greg looked uncomfortable. I didn't steal it. I just borrowed it. Well, I said, holding out my hand, I'd like it back now. Reluctantly, he handed over the keys. Then Ryan spoke, his voice calm but piercing. Why did you abandon your family for her? Greg's mistress smirked. Because I'm more attractive than your mother. Look at me, you can see why he fell for me. Ryan turned to her, his tone ice cold. Quiet. I wasn't asking you. Dad, answer. Mandy fell silent. Greg shifted uncomfortably. All right, I'll talk. She joined my company 3 months ago. We got close at the welcome party, then she got pregnant. I decided to start a new life with her. I took the camper van because I quit my job and thought I could sell it for money. But we decided to travel first. I crossed my arms. And did you forget? That kid's phone we bought? The GPS app is on your phone, too. I've known where you were all along. Ryan smirked. I pretended to get lost on that hike so I could get a phone. I suspected you'd do something, Dad. So I made a plan. Greg stared at him. You really are a terrifying child. I'll never be an adult like you, someone who betrays the people who love them, Ryan said. For a moment, Greg had no answer. I felt a surge of strength as a mother. And now, I added, return the $20,000 you took from my account. That camper van was our joint property as a married couple. I didn't have to return it, it was mine as much as his. But no, it wasn't just about the van. That money Greg took, $20,000, was what I had saved bit by bit since I was single. After all, he was always quitting jobs halfway through, so we had never really saved anything together. I was appalled to discover that Greg and his mistress had squandered every cent. That was the moment I truly felt relieved about divorcing him. So that's how it is, I said coldly. But if you stole my car and my money, that's a serious crime. What? I thought you sent the police away. It's not their business anymore, right? I only said we'd talk, I replied. I have no intention of withdrawing the complaint. In fact, I'm going to add theft of my money to the report. Mom, should I call the police now? It's literally one button on my phone. Mandy, Greg's mistress, had been hovering nearby, watching us, but quickly tried to slip out of the camper van. The moment she opened the door, a scream burst from her lips. Standing right outside were her parents, their faces red with fury, looking ready to explode. Startled, Mandy stepped back as her mother yelled, "Mandy! I'm sorry. Don't be so angry, but why are you here?" she stammered. "Because I called them," I said calmly. Her eyes widened. The truth was, during my hospital stay, my son Ryan had gone to Greg's office in tears, telling them, "My dad left the house with a woman we don't know," and my mom collapsed. Seeing Ryan's frail, grief-stricken state, Greg's co-workers suspected Mandy, who had conveniently left the company with him. They even gave Ryan her parents' address. It wasn't hard to find proof. Greg and Mandy had been overly friendly at work, and there were plenty of photos of them together at the new employee welcome party, looking for all the world like a couple. So I'd gone to Mandy's parents with her photo. They recognized her immediately, and I told them everything. Today, I had asked them to wait nearby. "How could you do this to me? You're the worst," Mandy shouted. "I don't want to hear that from you," I shot back. "By the way, your stomach looks quite big. When's the baby due?" "In 3 months," she blurted out. I froze for a moment. "Wait, that doesn't add up with when you met my husband. You two only met 3 months ago. So, what's going on here?" It wasn't even close to the baby's due time, and suddenly, all eyes turned to Greg. Hearing the truth for the first time, I stared at Mandy, my eyes wide. "Wait, what does that mean?" She smirked. "Are you stupid? Don't you get it? It takes about 9 months from conception to birth, so the child I'm carrying isn't yours." My stomach dropped. You're joking, right? Mandy, have you been lying to me this whole time?" She crossed her arms, almost proud. "I couldn't help it. Now that I'm caught, why hide it? You're so naive, you can't see through lies at all. You really are a fool." I clenched my fists. "Don't mock me. My whole life is ruined because of you. What were you thinking?" Her expression hardened, and the argument exploded. The shouting between us was ugly, but no one stepped in. They all just stood back and let it happen. Meanwhile, someone had called the police again to explain everything. As the sky darkened, Forest Park was lit up by the flashing red lights of police cars. "No, please," Mandy's voice cracked as she turned desperate. "I was wrong, I swear. I'll work hard, I'll never cheat again, just don't arrest me, Dad." But Ryan shook his head. "People don't change that easily, especially lazy people like you." "Exactly," I added coldly. "I can't trust you at all. Reflect on your actions, and pay for your crimes at the police station." Her voice trembled. "If I get arrested, I won't be able to pay back the money. Is that okay with you?" "I don't mind," I replied. "Pay me back after you've atoned for your sins. Take your time. Don't worry, I've already found you a place to work." I pulled out the numbers. "Between Ryan's child support and the $220,000 you stole from me, I'm not sure how much it'll add up to, but you'll work until every cent is paid." Then I looked her straight in the eye and said my final words to Mandy, the mistress. "You might think you've destroyed me, you may think you're just an onlooker," I told her coldly, "but don't forget, you're an accomplice to Greg's theft. Be prepared to face the consequences." When I made it clear that Mandy would be responsible for paying if Greg couldn't return the stolen money, she visibly trembled. In desperation, she turned to her parents for help, but they refused outright. "We disown any daughter who causes trouble for others," they said firmly. And so, Greg and Mandy were taken away together in a police car. Thanks to Ryan's clever planning, we managed to bring justice to both Greg and his mistress. Although they were released from detention not long after, they were still burdened with a heavy financial penalty. Through my lawyer, I demanded $20,000 in damages. On top of that, I made Greg sign an agreement to pay $500 a month in child support for Ryan. I even arranged for Greg to work at a subcontracting factory tied to my company, where his salary would automatically have my claims and child support deducted and sent directly to my account. I also sold the camper van, freeing myself from the auto loan that had been weighing me down. Since then, my health has improved dramatically. I feel energetic again, throwing myself into my work with renewed focus. Ryan has been pitching in at home, helping with chores and errands. Now, I'm determined to keep moving forward, stronger than ever, so that Ryan can follow the path he loves, without ever having to give it "You've freed me."